All right, Rahh.
Gani Gani, everyone. This is Professor Ahmed Rahh of the Conscious Corner, along with co-host Joe Hembrick. We want to welcome y'all to this viewing of the Conscious Corner. We want to thank Brother Rashaki for providing the platform of this community education network platform that allows us to discuss critical issues that affect the Black community. And we try to have actual facts about Black people. And we want to just go into a very unique and a profound discussion this evening about the history and the purpose and the function of Kwanzaa, its practice, and how it came about, and why it's essential for Black people to support and participate in it, because it's a celebration of their family, community, and culture. And hopefully that we can have a fruitful discussion. And after we go through about 3 slides, then we're going to have questions and discussion with the panelists that's here, and that's Brother Mashinda, the Brother Doctor, and Brother Hembrick, along with Rashaki. And we hope that you will get a better understanding of what Kwanzaa is all about. And hopefully we can dispel any myth. Before I get started, I want to just say, I'm deeply appreciative of Dr. Maulana Karenga, who's a very close friend of mine. We talk often, very, very unique individual. He's a Saba, which is a moral teacher. And not only did he create Kwanzaa, he created the Nguzo Saba, which is the hub and hinge of Kwanzaa, along with the Kiapo, which is a pledge to Black people. And then he also created as I said, the holiday Kwanzaa, but as well as that, a Kawaida, which is the philosophy that deals with the best of African thought and practice, an ongoing synthesis with constant exchange with the world and discussion, and one which I'm a student of and been a student of for about 30-something years. I attend monthly yearly institutes where we learn about Kawaida philosophy and how they implement it in our lives, and how to deal with the struggle for Black liberation and Black consciousness, and teaches us how to love and have nothing but divine respect for each other, regardless of our condition as a people or as individuals. So let me get started. Again, I want to say Sante Sana to Dr. Karenga for creating this holiday, which is really a celebration. Holidays are generally associated with holy days. That's where holiday came from, and it's more religious. Kwanzaa is not a day. It's a week-long celebration from December 26th to January 1st. And there's activities on each of those days. So we're going to start with a celebration of family. Family is very important. And well, first of all, let me just say this. A lot of people confuse Kwanzaa and try to degrade it, even though it's practiced all over every major continent. There are groups of Black people that celebrate Kwanzaa, even in islands, in the Caribbean, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. And even many military brothers practice Kwanzaa while they're in the service, when they're on duty, when they're off duty, or when the opportunity presents itself. And so to get with the discussion, let me just say this, that Kwanzaa is not a Black Christmas. It has nothing to do with Christmas. It starts on the 26th. Christmas starts on the 20th. Christmas is the 25th, allegedly, Jesus' birthday. You can celebrate Kwanzaa. Most people celebrate both Christmas and Kwanzaa. Many people, especially Black people that's Christian, they celebrate both because there's no contradiction, no conflict. One is a religious celebration. The other one is a celebration of, in recognition of the Nguzo Saba, which are 7 principles by which is the hub and hinge of what Kwanzaa is all about. So Kwanzaa is about celebrating your practice of the Nguzo Saba, knowingly or unknowingly. Once you read about the Nguzo Saba, you find yourself probably participating in those activities, such as unity, self-determination, cooperative work and responsibility, cooperative economics, always searching and dealing with your purpose in life, and then dealing with your creative aspect, as well as your faith, which is the 7th principle called Imani, which means faith in Swahili. So getting back to Kwanzaa, one of the first things you learn is that Kwanzaa in Swahili is spelled Kwanza. The reason it has 2 A's because at one of the first celebrations, they had 7 kids that were dealing with Kwanzaa. So they didn't want to leave that kid out. It was at the children's recognition of Kwanzaa. So they added that A. And that's why the Kwanzaa celebration has 2 A's in it. Versus if you looked it up in Swahili, it would be 1 A. The other thing that is very essential is that in this picture, you see the candles, you see the books, and you see the corn, you see the fruit. You won't see any grapes. The reason why you don't see grapes, because at the time that they were creating Kwanzaa, they were in alliance with Cesar Chavez, who called for a boycott of grapes. So when they created Kwanzaa, they didn't put no grapes in it because they was respecting the boycott and supporting the boycott. And up to this day, they don't put fruit out, and they ask people not to for the purposes of dealing with the support for the Latino community at that time in their struggle as farm workers for a better life. And so as to develop an alliance, coalition with their struggle, we honored it, or the organization, us honored it. I'm not part of the organization, us, but I'm associated deeply with it. Okay, so those are 2 things that I think are very important. The other thing is that there's always an effort to challenge Black people not to celebrate themselves. Kwanzaa began out of the Black movement, the Black Power movement of the 60s. It's one of the major institutions that still is based upon a Black nationalism, Black power, and Black cultural revolution that still stands. Other institutions that still stand that were not immigration or civil rights. There's two tendencies in the struggle. There was a civil rights struggle that was mainly an integrationist struggle and Christian-driven struggle, and in the 60s. And then there's the Black Power movement that most people say started from about 1965 all the way up to now. It's still going on because the organization us is still a revolutionary group and a conscious and cultural development group. So Kwanzaa is a celebration of family.
Professor Rahh.
Yes.
1 second. Do you have anything that's on in the background? I hear a little background noise.
Yeah, but I have to move to go do it.
Yeah, can you do that just for this quick moment? Because every time you speak, there's like background noise.
Is that better? Is that
Okay.
better?
Yeah, go ahead and continue. I'll know once you start speaking.
All right. And so, as I said, Kwanzaa celebration, Dr. Karinga teaches that a people that don't celebrate itself is lost forever. Kwanzaa did not ask America or the United States to declare the holiday or a celebration. They didn't petition, they didn't ask Congress people. This is one of the few activities that is driven by the people in an organization called us, which means us, Black people, not United Slaves or none of that. It just means us. And as I was saying, another institution that still stands is Black Student Union, Black Studies, Black History Month. Prior to the Black movement, it was Negro History Week. And the Black identity and the Black pride and culture movement of the 60s, you know, a lot of that has dissipated, but Kwanzaa is still going strong. Some BSUs are still going strong. And Black Studies, there are still some that are very still Black, but some of them went to Africana Studies and Pan-African Studies because they didn't want to use the word Black for whatever reason. And so, but Kwanzaa, it grew out of that, just like Martin Luther King Hospital, just like poverty programs and of the 60s and institutions. Kwanzaa came out of that struggle of the Black revolt of 1965 and upward, and it continues today. So it starts with the celebration of family. Family, and we're talking about the power nuclear family, meaning man, generally we recognize family as man, woman, children, and that's called a power nuclear family. But now, you know, it's households because family structures have changed, and many times family is just single parent and single home structures, or people living with extended families, or different structures. But anyway, it's to celebrate and have a deep appreciation for relationships with your family and trying to raise and educate them. The other thing is a celebration of family and community, reaching out and developing relationships with other Black people. That's very critical as a part of Kwanzaa, that we see Black people as divinely chosen to do good and bring good into the world, and that Black people are the vanguard of the moral and ethical aspects of helping people live a good and beautiful life. And culture. Culture is the ritualization of our Black existence, developing institutions, developing lifestyles that bring out the best of what it means to be African, and striving toward making the world better more peaceful, and more harmonious. One of the key elements that inspired the growth and the development of the organization US and Dr. Karenga was Malcolm X, and which Maulana and his organization was the ones that gave the first celebration of his martyrdom in LA. And Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's wife, came out. And even recently, one of Malcolm's daughters, I forget her name, she just wrote a book about children in the movement, and she came to the head Kalu, which means a sacred place, to meet in a culture center. And so anyway, that's one of the major inspirations of Dr. Karenga. He's writing a book on the moral and ethical aspects of Malcolm X. And so anyway, getting back to that, so culture is very important. Dr. Karenga argued in the 60s that the key crisis in Black people's life is a culture crisis, a crisis of values, views, and that until we address that, it's going to be difficult for us to strive toward liberation. Till we develop a cultural consciousness and draw from the best of African culture and deal with the best of the social development of Black culture in America, and deal with it in an ethical and valuable way, that it'd be very difficult for us to move forward. And so this is why he created the philosophy Kawaida. But anyway, this is to reinform and reinforce. This is the purpose of Kwanzaa. Dr. Karenga created Kwanzaa to reaffirm and reinforce, and reaffirm the rootedness in African culture, reinforce the bonds between African people, and introduce the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles. You can go to the next one. That's the purpose of Kwanzaa, the history. Matunda ya Kwanzaa, it means first fruits. Dr. Karenga is a relentless reader, studier, and writer. It's unbelievable. He writes an article every week for the Sentinel. He has published at least 8 books, including the key text for Black Studies called The Introduction to Black Studies. I think they're on their 4th or 5th edition. As well as Kawaida, Lessons of Struggle and Life and Struggle. And he wrote a book of poems. He wrote a translation of the Hosea, which is the oldest sacred religious text that precedes the Bible. And he translated the Odu Ifa, the Yoruba text, one of the oldest religions in the world, Yoruba. And then he deals with those. But ancient origins of Kwanzaa is African from the ancient history of the first fruits of the harvest celebration. And then the modern origins is the Black freedom movement, as I explained that already. So that's how Kwanzaa came about. They were up in their apartment and they were discussing ways in which to, everybody during the 60s, arrived in 1965, organizations popped up. I think the Panthers came about, the Core, and then all the Black organizations and civil rights organizations reached their heights because of a movement. And people were wearing natural, people were wearing African attire, people started calling each other brothers. We went from Negro to Black, from color to Black, and Black organizations popped up on, Community Alert Patrol, watching the police, and then Black liberation theology, just so much. We drew from Marcus Garvey, as well as Brother Carver, and just every aspect of Black history, people began to look into. All right, so those are symbols of the first fruits and things of that nature. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, the Ancient Orient builds on the 5 fundamental activities of the continental African first fruit celebrations, ingathering of the people, reverence for the creator and creation, commemoration of the past, and recommitment to the highest values and celebration of the good. And so we can stop here and see if there's any questions up to this point. Those were that. Anybody have any questions at all? Doctor, you have any?
No.
Brother Mashenda?
No questions at this time. It was just interesting when you had mentioned about, I was listening about, the fruit. You were saying that because of the boycotts back in the day,
Yeah.
that was interesting. I remember as a kid, going in the supermarket, smashing grapes and walking out the store. We was part of a committee. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old or something. It was back in the day, and I tell you, that was with the UAW. My dad was like in the union, and so they were, of course, with that boycott against grapes as well. But I didn't know that interesting part about what you had said. Also, I'm familiar with Dr. Karanga. He was at San Diego State. I think him and his wife. And just listen. I've had a chance to hear him a few times in person. That kind of thing. And I'm familiar with Kwanzaa. I think I've practiced Kwanzaa a few times in my life. Tried to go through all the, the whole aspect of it, and then to get away from it. But still, what embodies, the principles that it embodies, is kind of, I try to live by those things anyway. But putting it on, putting it out as a structured way of life, to, like you say, to celebrate culture and family and community and, all the important tenets that, that are missing a lot these days, so anything positive. But I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront, very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of the holidays are centered around individuals, presidents, Jesus, for the most part, are religious holiday. This is a non-sectarian, meaning non-religious, so all religions can practice it, as well as non-partisan. It's not about politics. It's about celebrating Black life. And then some people say, well, can white people do it? And you ask the question to white people, can you celebrate Black people? And that's a challenge for them. They can participate, but it's up to Black people to run it and to really be the leaders of it and the head of it. You generally don't let white people have a major role in lighting of the candles on the first day of Kwanzaa on the 26th, or having a major role in the entertainment and the practice of what they call the seventh day, which is the feast, the Karamu, and where you have music and dance and food, and the Dr. Karanga gives the Founders Day, the Kwanzaa Founders message, and theme, and discusses that, as well as having wisdom from the elders and unique Afrocentric form of entertainment and Afrocentric food. But anyway, what about you, Joe? Brother Hendrick, historian.
No, I don't have any comment.
Okay, what about you, Rashiki?
Yeah, I just think it's an excellent thing that Dr. Karanga did by coming up with Kwanzaa. I know that for instance, when people talk about Christmas, Christmas is they act as if it's mandatory that you go out and make sure you buy gifts and to give to people and this and that. And so if you take all the major holidays that's celebrated in the United States, I think there should be other alternative type of celebrations, just like Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is educational and meaningful, and I think we should look towards doing more of that, coming up with an alternative to these holidays that's to me is meaningless, and all for the wrong reasons. So I think it's excellent.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard to tell Christians, which the majority of Black people are, don't celebrate Jesus' birthday, even if it's not that day. They're going to go with the tradition that they were trained by their oppressor, that the 25th of December, and that the other people commercialize Christmas. It's supposed to be symbolisms of the wise men that brought gifts to the mansion. And so therefore you give gifts on Christmas. But, you're not going to stop people. Malcolm said we can't even go to religion. Just leave it alone. Just, it's between you and your God, so we don't really, for those that want to go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars in celebration of Christmas, if they got it, if they want to be in debt or whatever, you just let them roll. But anyway, so we dealt with those principles, like the ingathering of people coming together, reverence to the Creator, the cosmos, or however you see creation is, and then the commemoration of our history, drawing from the best of our history, learning lessons of the past, and learning what worked and what didn't work, and then implementing it in your lives, and being really commitment to our highest values of the highest respect toward each other, the highest seeing each other as sacred beings, and teaching our children, not to demonize and degrade and to mutilate or destroy your identity. Be proud of it, and develop the practice of having such a love and appreciation for each other. And that don't mean you're gonna get it back. You can treat people nice, and they may not, but at least you did your part. You don't stop being nice because you have a bad experience with people who you treated nice. People didn't pay you money or back, or people didn't say, just did negative things. So it creates a problem. But you just stay positive and stay loving and caring toward each other. Next slide, Brother Rashiki. Okay. Okay, the modem, the modern origin, build on the emphasis in Black freedom movement, on commitment to African consciousness and culture, social justice, self-determination, cooperative practice, and struggle. People talk about unity. Boy, it's not easy. And at the same time, trying to rebuild the Black movement when we was at our height in expressing our culture and our values and speaking our special truth to the world. So being African conscious, we have to be a world, see our people, African people in the world, not just in America. Be world, be up onto geography, be knowing Black people in the islands and Black people in other parts of European society, and and develop a consciousness that the struggle continues. Culture is a ritualization of any existence. You can turn anything into a culture. That's why they got drug cultures, they got smoking cultures of cigarettes, but to have a Afrocentric culture is one centered in our experience and our history and our practice of those cultures and those value systems and ethics. That's very critical, because most people just think culture is song and dance and food, but no, it's deeper than that. It's ethics, morals, it's African culture. This is like Muslims don't eat pork, and that's a part of their religious culture, unless they have to eat it to survive. Other than that, they'd be around all the wiener schnitzels, all the hot dog stands, all the pork, bacon and ham celebrations, but they won't eat it because it's ingrained in them. That's not their practice and culture. We have those same values. I know that practicing African culture got me off of dealing with drugs, dealing with chasing women, dealing with just a lot of negative experiences that I thought was cool and street. And then they argue, well, it's the streets, that's the way it is. But you also have to practice how you want it to be, how you raise your children, how you treat your wife or your loved one, no fighting, no arguing, because the beautiful thing about Kawaida, it deals with death, marriage, family, ethics and all that have ethics and values and how we deal with it. I had an African wedding. Dr. Karenga married me and my wife in 1982. And, and we had beautiful African cake with a picture of Africa on the cake. And we didn't come in on da, 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 da. We came in on our own music. And there was our own practice, our own values. But before that, me and my house, which we call our house, each other's house, because we live in each other, is that we had to have a discussion about, I explained to my wife, the movement is me. I'm gonna be going to Black activities. People gonna call me, women, kids, youth, my family, me and my family are tight, me and my brothers and sisters. Can you handle that? And you tell me what I need to handle about you. But you be up front, you get your terms together so there's no, like, hey, why you always going to help your brothers and sisters? I told you that's what we do. It's just a trust that we have in each other. Anyway, social justice, we have to fight for that. You have to fight for equal justice, not just us. I mean, you're not only fighting for justice for yourself, but for your children and for the future of Black people. When you stop discrimination, you're stopping discrimination for right now or fighting to stop discrimination, but you're also stopping it so that other brothers and sisters don't have to go through what you're going through that may be limiting you or may be abusing and oppressing you. A self-determination. You have to determine who you are. We always argue in Kawaida that you're American by habit and you're African by choice. You have to choose to be African. You don't have to, but that's the only way you're going to be African is it's a choice. And that's why you develop a consciousness for the purposes of expressing the best of you in certain conditions. You got a job or you got a situation where you can't expose your African consciousness or your African philosophy because you're working for white folks or you live in a situation where you just don't want them to know. what's going on inside your house. We understand that. You know, a lot of them are doing the same thing. A lot of white folks who's talking to you and playing with you are going to Ku Klux Klan meeting after they leave you. You know, and you know, how you explain Trump? You know, all this two-facedness you see from Black people or white people, and from some African people. But you know, we got conservative Black people like they got moderate white people or progressive white people, socialists, communists, things this and this. I mean, we have different diversity. You know, and that's why you go back into a sense of unity with diversity and unity without uniformity. What did I mean? That we have to find ways to unify with people that we may not agree with politically and culturally and socially and ethically to a certain degree, as long as they're not too wild, you know, but, you know, that's very important. So we recognize the diversity of Black people. Some live in the country, some live up north, some live on the East Coast, West Coast, and some live in Jamaica, some live in Haiti, some live in Europe, some live in Japan, and they develop those values over there. So we have to find ways to develop a Pan-Africanist approach. But the most important thing about self-determination is that we choose this and that we name ourselves. Slaves and pets are named by their masters. Free people name themselves. And my name was Arthur Montgomery Jr. I was named after my father. But as I became more conscious and got into my Black culture, I changed my name to Amen-Ra, after the Black ancient African sun god. And so, we, you know, if you want to keep European names, that's fine. We have to, you know, that's you. You name that for your uncles, your aunt. You want to respect your mama and daddy who named you. We understand that. I chose to change my name, and I did. You know, my brothers changed their names. I named my kids after African names. You know, Shakiba, Shahid, Rashad, Rahh, Amen-Ra, Amen Mandela Rahh, and you know, so those were me and my wife's kids. Prior to that, I had 3 kids, but they were named in European names: Cherie, Miko, and well, Omar. But Omar changed his name to Kaumba, which is one of the principles of Kwanzaa, and he's the one in Denver. So that's, you know, he decided to do that. Some of them won't change their name, you know. But you know, we don't impose values on people. You know, we just practice our values. And so self-determination means that we determine what's right and wrong. We determine what's good and bad. We don't let outside forces influence us to determine that. We determine it through a collective way of unity, the unity, principles of unity, and that's unity with diversity, unity without uniformity. I mean, you don't have to say 100 Habani Ghanis just because I say Habani Ghani. You know, you can say, you know, whatever your greeting is. You know, we respect that. But we just ask you to respect the way we greet, which is Habani Ghani, which means what's the news? And the reply generally is in Jama, good news. And Asante Sana, many thanks. You know, and you know, Ashe, Hedi, Hotep, Ashe, ancient Egyptian, Hedi, Yoruba, and Hotep, ancient Egyptian. And all of them mean peace or something beautiful to you. And so those things. And then cooperative practices is what I was just explaining. How to get along with our people. You know, You see somebody, they say they need $1, $2, you know, say, oh, bro, why don't you get a job? No, if you got it, you give it. If you don't give me a rent. But if you want to help a brother, give him, well, I'll buy your food. I don't trust, no, the man, just give them the money, man. You don't have to treat them like children. And if you're going to go buy some dope with it, even if it's a hustle, if you got a Mercedes parked around the corner, hey, you're going to find that. That don't stop you from doing what you thought was good. And then struggle. Struggle is everything. We struggle to come into being, that's called birth. We struggle to make the best of our being, that's called life. And we struggle not to go out of being, that's called the quest for immortality. And so our biggest struggles with our own contradictions, our own conflicts, and our own temperament. You try to cultivate good attitudes and good feelings, but sometimes, it's up to that person to cultivate that themselves. And that's why it's called self-determination. And that's what the struggle is all about, us being the best that we can be. Being able to go past liquor stores without going in and get liquor or cigarettes. Just having a deep love. See, 'cause I came up thinking that just not liking white people made me Black. But Kawita taught me loving Black people is what makes you Black. And loving to be an example and not contribute to the problem. Try to come up with solutions to problems by examples. I never thought I'd be married, and I never thought I'd develop an ethical and principled lifestyle and value lifestyle that I tried to possess and just stay cool and calm and don't get upset at things because, once you realize the world is full of confusion, you should no longer be confused. And once you realize you solve one problem, other problems are going to still be there. So anyway, that's it. The next slide is the hub and hinge on which the holiday turns is the Nguzo Saba, meaning the 7 principles. And we start off with Umoja. Could you make it larger a little bit? No, that's okay. Let me put my glass. It's good. Umoja means to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. That's hard. Because, you run across so many different lifestyles and mentalities among us based on the oppression, discrimination, and situations many of us are in. It's like seeing a sister that may be selling her body for money and seeing her as somebody's daughter, seeing her as somebody's niece, seeing her as somebody's mother or future mother, seeing her as a goddess, a queen. And even though she's out there doing ungodly, unroyal in one family, maybe she does it to support her family. You still see her in the best of what it means to be African, not as a whore or a prostitute. And the same thing goes with brothers that sell dope. How you build your paradise on other people's misery, selling them poison, and things of this nature. Now, those that deal with municipal use of medicine and drugs, that's good. I go to dialysis. That's a medical process that I have to go to in order to keep my blood clean. So because my kidneys won't do it, and take excess fluid off my body, because when your kidney's not working, you don't get rid of the waste and the water in your body, and you could get heart congested failure. And it's just a lot of problems. The same thing with taking pain medicine or taking other forms of medicine to enhance your physical ability, or to, and herbs too. Herbs is a medical procedure, but it's not medicine. It's just a natural homeopathic aspect of treatment. And most medicals are chemicals. And then there are procedures, surgery, but when you're dealing with homeopathic type of treatment, that's good. And if it's working, use it. But umoja just means unity. And it means to strive toward it. We're a long ways from it as Black people. Even in our own families, we have conflict. Even with our own mates, we get married and it just didn't work out, but you're so deep into it with family. You got kids, and so you just let it go, even though you're not happy the way you would like to be all the time, but you just stick with it. So, but building unity is not easy. Kujichagulia, self-determination. That's the second principle. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. That's very critical. White folks choose our leaders and take them to the White House lawn and give them hors d'oeuvres and say, get our athletes as our spokespeople. No, we, from an intellectual and cultural base, speak our own special truth as an African people and name ourselves. I mean, look, you have kids, you want to name them Shirley and Heidi and, Rebecca and all of that, that's fine. That's on you. But that don't mean that, and you can look at that as a form of your self-determination. I determine I want to do it, fine. You understand? But we try, as long as you're doing it from that perspective, go ahead. But what we want to do is try to get you and encourage you to have more of an Afrocentric perspective of your determination of who you are. See yourself as an African people and the best of what it means to be African. And then Ujima, collective working responsibility. This is something you train your kids. You give them things, make them learn how to take care of it. That it's a team effort. I had a meeting with some of my grandkids the other day. I said, look, you playing ball. One of them was 12 years old. I said, if one of the cats on the team is not running up the court and not watching his man, who does that affect? Does that affect the whole team? He said, yeah. I said, you're a part of a family. It's a team. You have working responsibility, and that is to build and maintain our community together, make our brother and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. And that's the same thing you tell your children. Say, look, you got to strive toward A's and B's and vocational consciousness if you don't want to go to college. You got to start thinking about as soon as you can, as soon as you're cognitive of what you want to be. You don't just wait until you get out of school and say, I want to be something. While the school is paying, is public paying, or is private, that, you be focused of what it takes to get over in this environment of racism by developing the skills and developing the hygiene and the organization and maintenance of your self and things around you, and the love of restorative justice toward each other, seeing each other as brothers and sisters, and when they have problems, you try to solve them. Then Ujima, Cooperative Economics, that's a good doctor, learning how to manage money at an early age, learning the value of the medium of exchange, learning, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. That's very difficult because, you want to support Black businesses, but you have to also ask them to keep a high standard and to have good service also. You look There are organizations that have lists of Black businesses in different areas. There's still some Black cleaners. You have to look for them. And some of them are out the way a little bit. And if you're conscious and you're really committed, you'll go and try to spend your money with Black businesses and Black people. And you'd be the first one to say, we ain't got no Black businesses. Well, you don't support them. So you try to deal with that. Can I get through the last? Oh, you ready to ask some questions, Rashi? Rashi, you're on mute.
I wanted to share something right quick.
Okay.
Just, because you mentioned Black businesses, I just wanted to show on the website, you know, all of the businesses, either Black or people of color. So I'm just gonna show that real fast, and then
No, go ahead. You can explain them.
Okay, but you can continue talking while I pull it up.
Well, they're all about cooperative economics. You know, I mean, well, economics is not just a medium of exchange; it's a weapon and a tool. You know, I mean, I heard Brother Joe say, man, you know, I wanted to buy houses and really build an economic empire. I did a little bit of it, but I could have done a lot more. You know, and he trained his kids, his daughter, and to think in those terms of economic development. You know, it begins with our practice.
Okay, so we on the communityeducationnetwork.com, we have products and services. We got Kamal Kamban back east. He's a consultant, personal consultant. We got jewelry by Paula Kay. We have an online tutoring service. There's Dr. Paul Gauss of New Body Products that just passed. He still has his business going through his family and predecessors. We got Jovan Rowe. He sells insurances. We have CW and Chris Fish and Chicken. Excellent fish place, one of the best in LA. On 66 and Western. Got Ken's Custom Painting. I know him personally. Does an excellent job. There's information on there. This is our team member, Brother Muko, sells T-shirts and have other services. Teammate of mine has a electricity company. So he does, he's an electrician. And then we have Sugar Ray's Healing. There's another natural source of healing. He got this excellent, you would call it like a oil, and you put it on your skin. I mean, where you have some ailments on your joints and bones, and it helps, it kills pain. Martinez is a excellent handyman, did a lot of work in my house. You have SO1 books. Professor Rahh is real familiar with SO1 books in Lemert Park. You got our tech person for the website, responsible for all of everything on this website. Joe's PC and tech support, another guy on here. So it's numerous things on here. So we'll get back to Professor Rahh. And he says support Black businesses. There's a bunch of them right there. Okay, Professor Rahh.
Yeah, go back to that slide. I want to finish those principles, and then we have a discussion. Oh yeah. So we'll give them a cooperative economics, and that's just the science of the medium of exchange and teaching our children to value money, to save money rather than spend money. And that's the challenge. Then a purpose to make our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. What is the purpose of life? To do good and to bring good into the world. That's what we teach. Other people find other purposes. Some It's strange, but those are that's it, and that's what Nia means. That's a fifth principle. There's seven in which Kwanzaa is built upon. And Kuumba, which is to do always as much as we can in the way that we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. And that's sort of like environmental also. To always, as much as we can, do always as much as we can, in the way that we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and more beneficial than we inherited it. And then the last principle is Imani, faith to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. And Imani, and that's faith in the people, not faith in, you can have faith in multiple faiths, faith in your God or your creator, but also have faith in the people that, and look for the best in them. And always put the people first. Garvey said it, race first. And so it's all about putting the people first. Malcolm, it's about human rights, not civil rights. It's about the people. So we give praise and respect for the victories that we have with the struggles of Fannie Lou Hamers and Nat Turners and Harriet Tubmans and the contemporary Black heroes and heroines as well as the historical ones. So those are the principles in which Kwanzaa is built up around, and you celebrate the practice of them year round. Kwanzaa is not just the 7-day celebration is at the end of the year, but the practice of Kwanzaa is year round and daily, every minute of the day. And those are practicing these 7 principles that was introduced by Dr. Maulana Karenga out of the Black movement in the 60s. Now people say, well, he didn't create it. Yeah, that don't even make sense. Then you just say, well, who did? I heard. Well then, who created the Nguzo Saba? That's what you need to ask. Because that's what Kwanzaa is built around, unless they have a different Kwanzaa. And there are groups that, they had the Kwanzaa parade. They have people that have celebrated not about principles, but just about getting together, wearing some dashikis and eating some African food, and that's their choice. But this is what you do. You try to practice these principles year round, and then at the end of the year, from the 26th to January, you celebrate each one of these days. Umoja night, you light the black candle, and we're getting into candle lighting in a minute. And that's libation right there, pouring sacred water for the ancestors. But we'll get into that later. Let's just open it up for any questions anybody have right now. Anybody want to ask any questions or make a comment? What about you, good doctor?
No, just good information. Like I said, I never heard of Kwanzaa, never follow up to see the meaning. So it's good information for me. So that's all I have.
Okay. What about you, Mashinda?
No, I don't have any more comments. Like I said, I follow you well. I just like to say I think it's a great, thing. The practice of, it's like a reset, every year, this time of the year, to acknowledge those 7 principles, just making it a part of your life, acknowledging those areas. I think that's what, brings together people, probably it does a lot of good, so anyway, I'm all about it. I'm all for it. I might not be formal with it, each year, but every year I'm acknowledging some of those principles, during this time of the year. Got friends of mine who really are, devout with it, to make sure, that they, and, we have conversations, so anyway, I'm glad to be a part of this conversation. So, but thank you for the presentation. It's valuable information.
All right, thank you for that. What about you, Brother Joe? Brother Hembrecht? What about you, Rashaki?
I think it's excellent. It's something that, like you said, something that should be into regular practice. It's about the uh, improvement, and the maintenance of significant things to do and how to be. So yes, it's a excellent celebration and practice.
Yeah, I mean, and see, each is a 6 day. So you start off with, celebrating each of the principles, starting with Umoja on the 26th. And you light the unity candle, then you light the red candle, then you for Kuji Chakalia, then the green candle for Ujamaa, and then you a red candle for Ujima. Then all the way down to each of the principles. And on the last day of Kwanzaa, you have what is called the Karamu. Not the last day. The last day is meditation. That's the 1st of January, but the Karamu, which is the 6th day, and that's when you have a big feast, and you all get together, and you have food, cultural expressions, and the founder's message to the people. And it's just a beautiful experience to be around African people that really appreciate it and really practice it. It's just a beautiful thing to see it in motion and to see how it is embraced worldwide. Over 40 million people estimated celebrates Kwanzaa. So we really are proud of how it's spread. I'm really happy to be so deeply involved in keeping it going, as a Black Studies professor and a person that, this is something we created. This is our day. We ain't asked white folk, we ain't asked them for no special day. We ain't asking them to endorse it, but it's been gone mainstream. They mentioned it on the news. Obama had a Kwanzaa evening. Hollywood celebrities celebrated, sports figures. It's all over the world now. And then like I said, there are people that, want to character assassinate or say it don't mean nothing, it ain't gonna change nothing. Well, Christmas don't change nothing. People out stealing, smash and grab, get the stuff, wrap it up in Christmas paper and give it to somebody, and they done stole it. You don't ask Christmas to stop drug dealing and stealing, and you don't ask New Year's to change things. You don't ask Easter to change things. So why are you asking Kwanzaa to do something? Same thing with unity. People say, well, all black people ain't gonna get together. Well, all white people ain't together. All Japanese ain't together. All Asian people ain't together. Hey, why put that burden on us? Just work with those that want to be in unity. And work with those that want to be peaceful, and work with those that share. You have the shared values, and that's the critical thing. What about you, Rashaki? Any questions?
No questions at this time, but we definitely need to be exposed to Kwanzaa and the principles, so we could get a deeper understanding. And you're giving us that this evening. So
Okay.
it's a good thing.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it. We'll do part 2 next week. You know, when we go into symbols and go into you know, the Karamu and go into you know, the lighting of the candles and Umoja night, which is on the 26th. I participate in it. They generally and you know, to be with the creator of Kwanzaa. I mean, you know, it's hard. You know, people like to deal with people once they pass. But you know, like the UCLA shootout, people still bring that up with the Panthers and the US organization. They blame Dr. Karenga. Dr. Karenga wasn't even in town. It was over women. That's what they were fighting over. The sister slapped one of the brothers and went and got the Panthers, and they came out shooting, and then they got shot back, and that's what happened. You know, and people be acting like, oh no, and the FBI then exploited it and made it more expansive by sending hate letters to each group, like they used to do the Native Americans, to get them to fight each other and threaten each other and shoot at each other's house and blame it on them, and go get some Indian arrows and shoot them in, and then the people think they get the arrow, oh, this is an Apache arrow, so I'm Chiricahua, I'm going to kill some Apache. Yeah. They did all of that to Black organizations under COINTELPRO. Well, it's all written in the FBI report, you know, so we got a lot. Then they talk about Maulana tortured people or did something. But you can't, none of the people who he's supposed to have done that to never sued. They put him in prison for 4 years. Merv Dimley helped get him out. I mean, you know, and that, it was trumped up charges. You know, many of the Panthers had to leave the country. Many people in the organization, Black organizations had to leave the country on trumped up charges. When Huey Newton came back, he beat the case of murder that he had to leave the country and wait till the politics changed to come back and prove that it was trumped up charges. Same thing with Eldridge Cleaver. He was in Algeria and he had to come back and prove that it was trumped up charges. You know, I'm a victim of COINTELPRO. People be saying, you know, what happened to you? The FBI and Los Angeles County all had trumped up charges. We didn't do none of the stuff that they said in court. But they were able to get a guilty verdict because we didn't have the money to fight the right way and hire the right attorneys. And second, we thought we was gonna beat the case. We thought this is a lie. Our city charter said we could do what we did. We're a chartered city. They say, no, you can't do it. You know, I mean, we won in appellate court. And I mean, it was just crazy. It's crazy. But I got to live with it, you know. I got to live with, you know, Rahh had stole money from the city. He used a credit card for this, a credit card with my name on it. Credit card that I had money taken out of my check to pay for any over expenditures or disputed expenditures. It was all red. I mean, but nobody came to court. You know, I ain't had no money to hire no professional witnesses and forensic economics, and then when we did bring somebody in, the judge said they can't testify. We had Paul. Well, anyway, I don't even want to get into all that right now. I'm gonna do a whole lecture on that. And I'm gonna do a whole slide presentation on that. But anyway, the same thing with Maulana, same thing with Martin Luther King. What did they do with him? Put him in prison? They criminalized all Black people that stood up for Black people. You know, Charles Diggs was the only congressman that went to Emmett Till's trial. And then a couple of years later, they indict him. You know, I mean, what's happening? You know, mean, we can go through the mayors, we can go through black mayors, black political leaders, you know. But anyway, we'll go over part 2 next week. Any questions, anybody, about anything we discussed? All right, Rashiki, go ahead. Tell them about the wins.
So we have our first year anniversary show. We've been doing the CEN show for a year now. So we're gonna have a presentation talking about that. So that should be very interesting, and hopefully our regular panel will be there, and the rest of our team members. We'll see who show up, but I'm looking forward to that. And what about us, Nick? So we got part 2 for Conscious Corner of Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
So you can take us on out, Rahh.
Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, I want to say congratulations on a year. Longevity is what institutionalized things. Can you hold on? Like brother, the good doctor tell you, most small businesses fail, but those that hang on, you can just, go 5 years without stopping. Now you're building something. And I just believe that the Conscious Corner, along with the Community Education Network, is going to grow. I just believe it in my heart and mind, and I'm gonna do everything I can and rededicate myself to trying to get others to chime in and to be a part of this beautiful platform. I just want to say Asante Sana, which is many thanks to the consistency of the good doctor, Mashinda, Brother Hembrick, every Wednesday and Tuesday coming in to keep this going during this pandemic. And we're in 2 pandemics, the pandemic of racism and the pandemic of COVID. So congratulations, Brother Rashiki, for this first year. And hopefully we'll have many, many more years. Asante Sana.
Yes, sir. And congratulations to you too, because without you and without the rest of the panelists, we wouldn't be doing this. So it's a us thing. Not only do we have the US organization, but we have Community Education Network, which is another US organization. So each one teach one in Conscious Corner.
All right.